I don't trust unhappy people. I don't trust a single word an unhappy person says about anything. Why? Because unhappiness comes from confusion, from a lack of knowledge about oneself. So, if they're unhappy, it means they have no self-knowledge. And if they have no self-knowledge, they're not qualified to talk about anything whatsoever. Well, they can, of course, but I'm not going to be listening to them. Because I know that without that knowledge, all their words, just dust in the air. There's no sincerity, there's no truth, it's all rubbish. It really surprises me that we hold in such high esteem people like Sigmund Freud and Virginia Woolf, people who in their lives were supremely fucked up. Virginia Woolf, of course, killed herself. These people lacked the peace that passeth all understanding. They had no awareness of themselves. They were tortured beings. And yet for some reason we hold their work in such high esteem. I think it's a symptom of the general ludicrousness of society and social values. It's hypocrisy praising hypocrisy. It's madness praising madness. Delusion praising delusion. A neurotic society applauding a neurotic woman and a neurotic man. We value so much their contributions. Why? Why on earth should you value something that's coming from someone who's essentially insane, who has no self-awareness, who is miserable, who is tormented by all sorts of unnecessary emotions, who has absolutely no insight into anything? So little insight that they're actually driven to kill themselves, and yet we consider their work special, transcendental. It's crap. It's pure crap. I've read Virginia Woolf. It's pure rubbish. I'm acquainted with some of the theories of Sigmund Freud. Useless. It's absolutely useless. I seriously doubt that Freud and all his research and all his findings has helped a single fucking person on this planet find happiness. If anything, it's probably made people even more unhappy. I see nothing positive whatsoever in psychiatry. Nothing. To me, it's just part of the general madness of society. General insanity. You see, my approach is very simple. I do not read things, I do not take things seriously from people who are clearly fucked up. It's like listening to a lunatic on the corner of the street, talking rubbish. It's the same. How can you possibly take anyone seriously who's totally racked and tormented by demons? What sort of knowledge are you hoping to gain from that? When I read Virginia Woolf's work, it's like poison dripping from the page, all her inner bile spat out in this ridiculously self-conscious language. It's not pure, it's not spontaneous, certainly not natural. There's nothing to learn from it. It's simply a marvel of the pitiful state of mankind. It's an example of that. The unnecessary stress and trouble we put ourselves through, which is totally against our natural state. So, I don't take such people seriously. I mean, there's plenty of them. It's not just Virginia Woolf and Sigmund Freud. Those are just examples. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of so-called intellectual, seminal authors, philosophers, great people, figures, key figures. And then you look at their private lives, and they were tormented wrecks. I will not trust a single word that comes from their pen. How could you possibly take seriously anything that comes from someone who is riven with internal conflict? There's no truth there, there's just confusion. They have no idea what they're doing. They are totally under the grip of the ego. They have no self-awareness. How can you possibly trust anything coming from such a source? And yet we praise these people, we hold them up, and I think this is the problem. Our role models in society are totally inadequate. They offer no hope or inspiration. They simply poison us with their own problems. And us, I mean society, by glorifying such rubbish, we simply debase ourselves even further. My advice to you, if you want to take it, read the writings of those who attained peace in their lives, who attained the peace that passeth understanding. Listen to them. Don't listen to some crackpot fool who doesn't even know himself, who's pushed around by fear and pain and anxiety. What are you hoping to gain from it other than a heavy dose of negativity? It's poison, pure poison.